Hi, this is Dean, and this is a video on how to practice scales for the violin book 2. And the scale I'm going to use is B flat major, and the skills that I hope that you get from doing the warm-ups of B flat major, scales and arpeggios is developing good practice habits mainly, and stamina. Um, when we start out in Suzuki Book 1, the main goal for me as a teacher is to get students to listen to the CD and to play and use the CD as kind of their guide, their standard to how well they are doing. And one of the hallmarks of Suzuki method is to do review. And so a student should be reviewing all of the songs that they know in Book 1 every single day. That's how you develop stamina, and you develop your ear, and you develop your musicianship as well. If music is in fact a language, and I think research shows that the part of the brain that processes language also processes music. So if music is a language, then the immersion method certainly works. And in my case and in countless other cases it does. I grew up in a classical music family, so that was just what I knew how to do. And it was very easy for me to learn music as a result of that. So review is very important. But at a certain point in time, then a review gets boring, and sometimes all you do is you grind things into the dust by doing it over and over again, but never really improving on it. And there's also a certain opportunity cost about doing review. And the term opportunity cost means you could be doing something else that might be more useful than reviewing. And that's sometimes the case and sometimes not. But for me as a teacher, I have to decide what is worth doing. And it depends on the student quite often. But let's see now, where was I going with that idea? Scales and arpeggios are good for something that review is not good for. And for instance, here you are playing musette, and you have to do this. And that's a new bowing thing for you, and it takes you a while to struggle to get that bowing right. And maybe if you were in Book 1, this would be hard. And those both involve bowing problems that you haven't encountered before. And luckily for the people that did the bowing for the Suzuki songs, I think it was Shinichi Suzuki that did the bowings, but they do change over time. Each revised edition has some changes to it. But the exercise, the repetition of those skills was put into the music. So every measure in Minuet number 3 that has an eighth note, a quarter note, and 4/8 notes is bowed exactly the same. And I've tried to do that with things like June Apple, where every single bow stroke is the same. But if it only occurs in 2 or 3 measures in musette, then you only get maybe 5 seconds out of 1 minute to practice that skill. So you want to be able to do many more repetitions of whatever skill that you're working on. And this is why you would want to do these scales and arpeggios with different bowings, so that you have a lot more chances of doing it. If you want to learn to use your full bow, there aren't that many pieces that use a full bow. What if you don't practice Judas Maccabeus every day? Well, then you only have a few other opportunities to use that long bow stroke. But if you did it on your warm-ups, scales and warm-ups, then you would always be bowing all the way to the frog and all the way to the tip. How many times would you do it in a 2-octave scale? There are 8 plus 7 is 15, times 2 is 30. There are 30 notes in a 2-octave scale. And in Judas Maccabeus, there might be only, well, it might be the similar number of strokes. At any rate, you're going to get enormous benefit from repetition of whatever skill you're working on in a scale and arpeggio. And you don't really care that much about the outcome of it. You do it with a little bit of emotional detachment. You know, so you made a few mistakes on it. Tomorrow you might not make those mistakes. Maybe it'll be better. But if we try and learn technique in a piece, that can be really, really harder because you put your emotions into a piece. You try and play it expressively. So when I criticize how your technique is, it's hard not to take it a little personally. I know I did. Scales and arpeggios are depersonalizing. You get to improve on them without having to worry about it. I suppose it's like being a grandma or grandpa that can go and have fun with the kids, the grandkids, and then go back home again, and the parents end up taking care of the diapers and all of that. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not. So anyway, let's see what else I have here to talk about. There's a lot of mental challenge to doing scales and arpeggios because you're going to be doing it with different bowing. And then you can always go faster and slower. And you need to develop stamina. You need to develop your finger strength. And that was another reason to do it. So let us begin with the B-flat major scale. It is a warm-up. I don't know how many lines. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, probably like 8 or 10 lines. And here we go. If you have your B-flat major scale, the first thing that you have to do is find B-flat. I can't tell you how many times someone goes, and it sounds kind of wrong, and it doesn't seem as if the student took any time to actually find the B-flat. So we have to, of course, start out with open G, and then A. There, that's a nice ringing tone on that A. And now we put our second finger close to it. There it is. If I want to be absolutely sure, I can do this. There it is. Okay, we got it. So now the scale in half notes, the goal is to use your full bow and just figure out the fingering. So here I go. 1, 2. This is really good to do with a metronome. Then you get practice using a metronome while you are doing your scales. And then when you are doing a hard passage in your working piece, it won't be so hard because you already know how to use a metronome. That was full bow. I used full bow. And now I'm going to do the scale in thirds, which is the next thing here. Oh, I got to find the note first, right? If you just go from one to the next, then you don't have to go and find your note. But maybe you need a break. I don't know. And there I shifted to second position. Instead of playing third finger A, I did second finger A. Anyway, there we have the scale in thirds. I'm not going to finish it. And now we go on to the arpeggios. First of all, we have to figure out how it sounds. Here we go, full bows. Again, with a metronome, certainly. Here we go, and now we're going to do quarter notes, and they're all going to be slurred together. 2, 3. Well, that gives you practice with the technique of walking fingers. If you just did your notes separately, then this would not be hard. Take my third finger off, put first finger down. But if I have to slur, then now I have to make sure that both fingers stay down. So there you go. There's another technique that you can perfect in that arpeggio. All right, and now we want to add bowing to it. So now we are going to do the B-flat major scale using slurs. There are so many different things that you can do. Anyway, I won't go on. There's a B-flat. Doing 2 and 2 now, slurring. Here we go. I added an extra note at the top because there are 15 notes in a 2-octave scale, and if we add one more, that's 16, and that's nice because then you can divide 16 into groups of 2 or into groups of 8 or 4 or 16. Yes, you could do the entire scale in one long bow stroke if you wanted to. So you can see there are plenty of challenges that await you with these. And you're never going to perform this in a recital, so who cares if you get it right, completely right. I care, and you care too, but not in the same way. All right, and now we're going to do it with the musette bowing. I was recommending, the that little section in there. Wouldn't it be great if we could just do a whole bunch of that and not just get bored out of our skull doing that, little section? Okay, so here we go. Here's the B-flat major scale with the slur and 2 separate. All right, and then we can do the same thing with the scale in thirds. Here's slurring 2. Etc., etc. And I should have used a fourth finger instead of that open A string there. And now I can also do it with the musette bowing. Here I go. Yeah, so anyway, you can see that it could take you 5 minutes to do all of this. I've been talking in between, but I think I started at around 8.5 minutes, and now it's like 15, but I was talking too. So anyway, you can get a lot of practicing done by just doing that one page and doing everything on that page. Anyway, that is all I had to say about this, and good luck with that. See you later.